Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We are here with our final best of 3 of this broadcast of the Master Coliseum 7 group stage round number 4. Here to determine who makes it into the playoffs. Sorry, who continues on in the group stage and who gets eliminated from the tournament. We have a ZvZ between SHIN and Solar. And if you are in the chat, predictions are open. Predictions are open. Place your bets on how you think this series will unfold. Predictions. And who you think will be eliminated from the tournament. This is going to be a close one, to be honest. Like, on the one hand, Solar is the Sterile Slayer, and he can be terrifying in ZvZ, but likewise, so can SHIN. ZvZ can be very chaotic and very dynamic. I don't expect this to be a long series, I'll be honest. I expect a lot of aggression. I expect a lot of players to be cutting workers and cutting corners and just rushing out with either Lingbane or Roaches as well. So we'll see. We'll see how this all comes together between our two players. I'm hoping for an ace match, but it's up to SHIN and Solar to make that happen. Ooh, oh boy. Meanwhile, we are not done for tonight. Right after this broadcast, right after this series, we are going to be turning off the stream, going to be restarting it to reset the delay. We'll have to reset the delay because we're going to be coming back here with the Christmas Cup. If you've been tuning into the stream, of course, you would have seen that we've been casting the Christmas Cup over the past week of play, and the playoffs are upon us. The round of 16 starts tonight in half an hour. In half an hour for the Christmas Cup. We might miss the first round. We might miss a couple of matches if this series goes on a little bit longer. So we might miss a little bit of the Christmas Cup, but we'll be there for the rest of it, for the rest of the group stage of the round of 16. So that is what we're going to be casting later on. I'm going to be featuring players like Wayne, Night Phoenix, Skillus, Strange, Ashbringer, Exo Striker, Nicaract, Shameless, to name a few. UED Soldier. So if you're familiar with Nikic, Art, I keep going. But basically, if you're familiar with those players, they're going to be featured later on tonight in the Christmas Cup after this event. So just back-to-back broadcasts here on the CranKy Ducklings. We do not stop. Then after that, we get to sleep for a little bit, and then we have to wake up, and then KSL. KSL is going to be over the weekend, followed by more Christmas Cup action. Tonight is round of 16. Tomorrow is the round of 8 for the Christmas Cup. And then after that, we have the semifinals and the finals the day after on Sunday. But here we go. We're diving in. The vetoes are done. And in the top left, we have SHIN for Mystery Gaming. Oh, sorry, bottom left. And in the top right, we have his opponent for onside, Solar. Oh, Shema. And here we go. A big shout out to the sponsors of this tournament. Of course, shout out to Doyu, Honkai Start, Autofull, and Biobio. Shout out to the sponsors. Without them, this event would not be possible. A lot of them are mainly sponsors from China, so we can't really indulge ourselves too much, except for Honkai Star. I see some people in the chat. I saw Fernando earlier. I still see him in the chat. Some Honkai Star enjoyers. So, yeah, you know, if you want to support StarCraft, support Honkai Star. Honkai Star Rail, I believe. Otherwise, also a big shout out to Kashim in the chat as well. Thank you so much for resubscribing for 4 months. Thank you so much. Kashim, of course, a big part of the StarCraft community. Kashim is one of the big contributors of Wikipedia and also a big contributor of Illegalac. So if you're familiar with Wikipedia, if you're familiar with Illegalac, Kashim is a big name behind them. He also admins and organizes events in Poland. So without Kashim, we wouldn't have the House Open Cups or the House Galactic Battle, the House even. I think that's how you say it. But all these Polish LAN events, you know, they'd be that much worse off without Kashim. So much love, much love. Less than 3. Yeah, I see you in that, okay? But we are settling into this. So far, Hatch Gas Pool. Standard openers between SHIN and Solar. Nothing too spicy yet, but I expect the spice to be added once we get into the mid game, once we do head towards our third base locations, whether we skip our Bailey nest, whether we cut workers, whether we indulge ourselves in Lingbane aggression, we'll see. So far, we are mirroring each other. So far, we're just droning, saturating our naturals. A couple of lings are on the way for both SHIN and Solar, but that's just for map control, just for a bit of scouting information, as we do head into this ZvZ. There it is, third base, soon to be on the way from Solar. Interesting location, we're going for the triangular third here. Meanwhile, I believe SHIN is going for the linear third. Both players having to be expanding towards each other's third bases as well, which is going to be interesting. With that, Solar's base is going to be a little bit more exposed, but he can be more aggressive with it. Reverse is applicable to SHIN. As SHIN throws down his Baneling Nest, Solar a little bit late with his own. Just now getting the gas for it, and just now should be investing into that nest. Lings are on the way. Still no Baneling Nest out of Solar, by the way. It should be on the way. Uh-oh. Yo, are we skipping the Baneling Nest? We are. He's crazy. Okay, here we go. So SHIN is going to be aggressive with Ling Bane. Solar is flooding into Mass Ling, skipping the nest, going straight into Roaches. Bold move out of Solar. If Solar takes a bad fight, things can swing very quickly in favor of SHIN, because again, SHIN will have Baneling, Solar will not. Oh boy. So a greedy maneuver here from Solar. We'll see if we can get away with it. As he's trying to rush into those Roaches, Ling's going to be clashing with the center of the map. Banelings are still on the way. And SHIN, he does slip into that main base. He does get a little bit of scouting information. He's aware now that the Baneling's nest is missing. And we should be pushing out. Oh, but SHIN is supply blocked. No shot. Big supply block for SHIN. We have 3 Overlords on the way, and we have to drone up behind this. Ay, ay, ay. Not like this. And Solar, he's getting away with this. He's getting ahead. He... gas-wise, he doesn't waste any resources on Banelings. He has Roaches in production already. SHIN going for a defensive Roach Warren of his own, and he's stuck at home. Meanwhile, Solar's pushing. And SHIN is droning, by the way. SHIN, he's just now checking saturation at the third. Nothing there. There's nothing there. The Roaches have been confirmed. And SHIN is in some trouble. We might need site defense. We might need some spine crawlers, because he confirms almost no mining at the natural. Solar, he cut workers very early on, and he is completely all in. So Solar going to be all in on Ling Roach. And SHIN, he is amassing as many Roaches as he can, but he is one step behind in that army supply. He has some Ling Bane, which can help. Solar's going to be reinforcing again. A brutal choke point here at this ramp. A very reduced surface area. Lings, they head towards the third base. The Banelings are out of position. And they're going to be zoned away. Good kiting so far here from Solar. He focuses down every single Baneling. The Banelings get shut down. We dive on the army. 2 more Banelings are on the way. And we need them up. We come back just in time. But once again, good control out of Solar. He does pull back. And he once again will focus them down. Very nice target firing here out of Solar. Just out-controlling his opponent. And he's snowballing out of control. He breaks on through. Every single Baneling was focused down. And no connections. And Solar will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Solar getting away with just skipping that Baneling Nest, getting into a Roach all-in instead. And SHIN was caught with his pants down. SHIN was droning. Solar had cut workers at 27. SHIN had drone up to 38. I think up to 40 drones. It took a little bit too long for SHIN to realize what was happening. It took a little bit too long for SHIN to realize, hold up, Solar isn't just cutting corners. He isn't just rushing into Roaches to defend. He's rushing into Roaches to attack. By the time that SHIN realized there was no saturation at the third, and that the natural was undersaturated as well, by the time he figured that out, it was a little bit too late. By then, Solar was already halfway across the map, and SHIN had very little time to react. There was potential with those Banelings, but again, really nice control out of Solar. Whenever the Banelings rocked up, he pulled away his Lings and he focused down every single Baneling with his Roaches time and time again. Without good Baneling connections, SHIN could not deal with that army. And with that, that is game 1 in the books. Solar has a lead. And game 2 is going to be taking place on Site Delta. And in the top left-hand corner, we have our South Korean Zerg player, SHIN, for Mystery Gaming. And in the bottom right, we have Solar for Onside. And SHIN has been quite fond of this. We bring this up all the time, how SHIN and Raynor, they've been fond of the 15-15, and SHIN is going for the 15-15 here on Site Delta. This makes a lot of sense. For those that are curious, this opener of... Oh, never mind. So I believe this opener should be a gasless opener out of SHIN. We'll see if that's going to be the case here. because we just went for an extractor trick. We didn't go for a 15 hatchery timing. I was going to say that a gaseous opener would make sense on Site Delta because this is one of the few maps that actually has a ramp leading into the natural, so you can get away with going 2-base Roach just because you're that much more defendable on 2 bases. Gases are being taken. So SHIN just went for an extractor trick, wasn't a 15 hatch. So hatch gas pool from both players. Very slight deviation with the extractor trick, but outside of that, standard mirrored builds. Now, obviously, the feature of this map is still applicable. You know, there is still that ramp leading into the natural 2-base play is still viable here on Site Delta. But we'll see if either player does try to make that work, or if we try to just work towards a 3rd base instead. We shall see. So now we're just going to be settling into this. I imagine here in game number 2, Solar is not going to skip the Bailey Nest. I imagine he will be investing and he'll be having a much more safer game. Especially now that he has a lead in this series, it would make sense for him to be the more reactive player to SHIN instead. As Link Speed is on the way, we're going to be droning, going to be saturating our natural bases. And both players are just going to be getting eyes on each other, scanning each other. Things are moving out, and we should just be easing into this. Again, as we mentioned before, the big deviations come when we take the 3rd. That's kind of what we're waiting for. It's whether or not we take a 3rd base, whether or not we skip the Bailey Nest, and whether or not we saturate the 3rd base as well. Those are kind of like the big things that we're looking for. And for now, both players are expanding. Both players take their respective 3rds. And there it is, Bailey Nest on the way for Solar. Again, I expected him to have a much more standard opener here in game number 2. This time he doesn't skip it. Likewise, Bailey Nest also on the way for SHIN. So no one is really going for anything too crazy for the time being. It is going to be Ling Bane. The next question becomes, how much do we commit here to Ling Bane aggression? Do we just make Banelings to defend and just a handful of Lings, or do we double down and move out across the map? For now, both players are going to be investing into a wave of 10 Lings. Into 5 pairs. Both players just going to be droning up behind this. Ling Xiao comes in for Solar. He does confirm the Bailey Nest, and as soon as the Ling goes down, we throw down the Roach for it. Likewise, so does Solar. Both players are rushing into their Roaches, which means we're only applying light pressure here with these Lings. We're not really committing. Trying to get us around. But we have plenty to defend here back at home. Bailings will finish up in time. And Solar will back off. Trying to get into the natural. Doesn't find a way in. And we do see SHIN is droning. Solar is making another wave of units. Hello, Solar. My eyes are on you. Oh my god, Solar has to be very careful here with his controlling. Yeah, Solar, he's cutting workers. Once again, SHIN is droning and Solar is going for an all-in. He's cutting workers. Roach is on the way. Oh, he will be losing one of those Banelings. Big pickoff. A good trade there for SHIN. And again, Solar, he's amassing Roaches back at home. 3rd base looking a little bit exposed. The Roach is going to get surrounded. Good engagement there by SHIN. At the same time, a big Ling counterattack. The Baneling does connect with the Lings. Still good trades for SHIN, but he will be losing his Queen. The Queen goes down and Solar is still committed. He is moving out. Oh, takes down the Roach. Now what's important here is that Solar, he is pushing. That is true. He is committed, but he's droning up behind us. So he's working on that next step. The Banelings are going to be denied. Solar trying to force an overreaction from his opponent. Does threaten to dive into that natural as well. We're going to be committing. Up. We're pushing to 3rd base. The Baneling does not quite connect. Overall, good trades here from Solar. But he will be kited back. From here, he will just waddle back home. And Solar has been able to drone up quite nicely. He's up to 45 workers. SHIN threatening a counterattack, but the Queens are in position. Boys are pulled. Good reaction here out of Solar. And the game is going to be settling down. We're going to be calming down from here. Players are droning. We have +1 range on the way. SHIN didn't throw down a Roach. Sorry, an Evo Chamber. We're pushing. No Evo Chamber. I believe no lair for Shin either. He is not set up for the mid game. He's going all in. Oh, let's go. Shin. Again, no Evo Chamber, no +1, no lair, no roach speed. It is a hatch-based all in out of Shin. How the turns do table, and now Solar is the one that's been caught droning. He droned up to 51. Solar, he's been droning, his opponent has not, and sometimes that's all it takes here in ZvZ. Shin, he collapses on this army, gets on top of the roaches, and he will break this army in the end. ZvZ, sometimes if you drone, you die. That's what happened in game 1, and that's what's happening here in game number 2. As Shin forcing his way up the ramp into the natural. We have a handful of roaches to defend, but Shin will break through. Yes, lane reinforcements hitting that third base. A GG gets called, and Shin ties up the series 1-1. GG. Again, a lot of ZvZ comes down to like, yo, it's so scary to make workers. It's terrifying to drone up because at a moment's notice, your opponent just cuts worker production, just makes an army, and just sends it across the map. Now, to be fair, this was more predetermined from Shin because he didn't have a lair, because he didn't have an Evo Chamber. He was, at all points, working towards this massive timing, this massive push. And unfortunately, Solar wasn't able to confirm this. He wasn't able to confirm the lack of saturation and the lack of tech from his opponent. Solar was caught, it was this time, it was Solar's turn to be caught with his pants down. Was caught making too many workers, was not aware of the all-in, and was caught out. Now the question becomes, in game 3, who cuts workers first? Who goes for the all-in first here? You know, game 1 was Solar, game 2 was Shin, game 3, who's it gonna be? 13-12 versus 13-12. Oh. I'm ready for it. We're loading into hard lead, very short rush distance, shortest rush distance map in the map pool, very aggressive. It all comes down to hard lead. Oh boy, again, it's not going to be a long series. It hasn't been a long series. It all ends here. Here we go. Again, hard lead kind of lends towards aggressive play and aggressive builds here from Zerg players, from both Shin and Solar. So I wonder how they're going to make use of that. I wonder if they make use of it at all. Do things calm down? Is game 3 going to be the first time that both players saturate their third bases? Do we get a macro game? Is it happening? On hard lead of all maps? I'm ready for it. Let's go. Let us go. Again, I do appreciate that it did come down to the wire, and here it is in top left-hand corner. We have Shin for Mystery Gaming. And in the bottom right, we have his opponent. We have a Solar for Onside. And so far, we've been making drones. Drones have been made, Overlords are on the way. No 12 pool. No 12 pool, no 13-12, no hyper early aggression here from our players. Nothing out of the norm. Now, just because the openers, just because we're droning, just because we're going hatch gas pool, doesn't mean it's going to be a normal game. As we saw, when we get up to 2 base economy, once we start working towards a third, that's when deviations start rocking up, and that's when players can be aggressive and can be very all-in. Off of those 2 bases, so keep our eye on our players here. So far, everything looking normal for the time being. We'll see if either one decides to skip the bathing nest. We'll see if either one decides to play 2 base. Hard lead wouldn't be the worst map for 2 base play. Could see it working here. But I feel like we should just be seeing some standard play to begin with. Standard builds. So far, hatch gas pool. Overlord's going to be floating past each other. Gases are being taken. Oh, we can see Shin getting ready on cams. Leaning in, stretching a little bit. I mean, again, this is it. The ace match. It all comes down to this final game here tonight to determine who is eliminated. It's going to be a massive upset if Solar loses, by the way. Solar is coming in hot. For those who are unaware, Solar, he's our most recent GSL champion. He won the most recent GSL, like, he is in form. He is, of course, the Sterile Slayer as well in the last season of WTL. Like, he was the one to bring Sterile down time and time again. Like, Solar, he's been looking good this year. Or, I say this year, 2023. He was looking good. But here in Masters Coliseum, Solar has been struggling a little bit more. Now, I say struggling. To be fair, a lot of it did come down to a ZvZ against Sterile. For those that were here a couple of days ago, you would know, but in the group stage earlier, Solar faced off against Sterile. They went to the ace match, and Sterile was barely able to take the win there. Get his revenge against Solar. His revenge for all those matches in WTL. And that means that Solar's up against the wall. There it is. Bailey and Ness are on the way. No one is skipping. No one is skipping the Bailey Nest. Third bases are being taken as well. Lings are soon to amass, and the question becomes, how hard do we commit? Because I see Lings on the way for SHIN, and I see drones on the way for Solar. Let's go. So we have a bit of a Ling explosion here for SHIN. He's still droning up behind it, but again, he will have an abundance of Lings to work with. He's going to be moving out. Bailings are on the way. Back at home. And behind this, we're droning. So SHIN does have the supply lead, slightly. But again, we're still just droning up. We're still just saturating our bases. This does mean that Solar will have the worker lead, because he's been droning up more than his opponent. So a bit of a rough start here for SHIN. Solar does take a slight worker lead here in the early game. Roach Warrens are on the way. And so far, everything is looking normal. Like, this is the most passive start to a game in this series. Like, by this point in game 1 and in game 2, like, Lings were harassing, you know, we were pushing in, trying to bait out Banelings. But no, here in the ace match, we're calming things down. We're just droning. Both players are. Evo Chamber on the way for both players as well. Let's go. Lair on the way for both players. We're getting into the mid game. We're getting into Roach v Roach. It's happening. After a very chaotic and very wild series, things are calming down here in the ace match. So working towards Evo Chambers for range upgrades, working towards the Lairs for Roach speed, of course. We are going to be entering the Roach v Roach stage of ZvZ. And interesting, we have Overlord speed on the way here for Solar, so he desperately wants to scout his opponent and get a read on what's going on. So far, we're just droning. We do see SHIN moving out with a couple of Roaches. His goal here is to fake a push. He's trying to force an overreaction from Solar, trying to force him not to drone. But we can see that Solar isn't taking the bait. He's droning. So he sees those Roaches, he doesn't buy it. And he's just been droning up behind this. The Roaches back off because, again, it was just a fake out. And SHIN is going for a Spire. Now, because of the failed fake out, like, again, Solar has a better economy here. Hasn't seen his opponent, but the Overseer's coming in. Overlord speed finishes up just in time, and Solar, he should get eyes on everything that SHIN has. Overseer into the main base. Being pushed towards the... Oh, no! Being pushed towards the natural. And Solar, he comes across the Spire. He's aware of the mutas. And we are building up an army right now. Solar is already on 68 workers. He's already at that ideal worker count. 1-1 on the way. Roaches are amassing. We have Drop Lords in production as well. And Solar, he's going for one big timing. I believe the Queens are in the Overlords. I believe. Or is it the Banelings? Could be Banelings. Hydrogen is going to be on the way here for Solar. And yeah, there we go. It's going to be a Baneling drop into the main. Hydrogen on the way. So Solar is looking comfortable. He has the better economy and he's building up towards Roach Hydra. And against these mutas, that's going to be ideal. Now again, Solar has to be careful to overcommit to Hydras. Likewise, he has to make sure he gets a read on how many mutas are made. Jumpalord comes back in, confirms that the Spire wasn't cancelled. So a big follow-up scout. Jumpalord does confirm. We see Shin pushing right through the center, though. Bailey said, "Waddle in!" No! Ooh. No big connections. But Shinny does push forward. He runs into a wall of roaches, though. Solar supply block. 7 overlords. Uh-oh. 7 overlords are on the way. Solar, he's stuck here at 80 supply. Shin does have a supply lead. He has Ravagers as well, forcing out Micro. This base is going to go down. Big pig off here for Shin. Again, that was a brutal supply block. He's going for another drop load into the main base. Shin pushing forward once again. Yeah, we're still committed to just pure roach production here for Solar. That's all he can make right now. Miles going to be zoning him away. Going to be connecting. And Shin just wedging himself in between these bases. Would you have the defender's advantage? Reinforcers are getting here a little bit faster. Solar getting himself with those Ravagers. Barely forcing them back. And with reinforcements, Solar, does he barely have enough to hold on? Again, he's still up against the wall. Focuses down another Ravager. At the same time, Roach drop into the main base. Drones are falling. And Solar, he's holding. He is holding on here. There's one Ravager left. A clutch hold here out of Solar, and he is crippling the economy across the map. Solar has a massive worker lead. He just has to survive, and he is. He's on 69 drones. Nice, compared to the 58 of his opponent. +2 range on the way for both players. Solar, he is going to be just amassing his army, sprinkling in a couple of Hydras again. We even have a contamination on the center base. Now, Solar did lose his center base as well, and there it is, Lurker Den on the horizon. So tech-wise, I want to give the edge to Solar. You know, he has he has access to Lurkers, which is going to be ideal against the Roach Ravager army here of Shin. Mutas are on the way, but we already have Hydras to keep up with them. So really good read here by Solar to sprinkle in a couple of mutas to be ready for those. Sorry, sprinkle in a couple of Hydras to be ready for those mutas. And to make use of that tech. Mutas are revealed. And after the defense, I have to give the edge to Solar here. Like, Shin has his own advantages. That is true. He has faster +2. I mean, +2 is done. And oh, we're pushing. Oh my god, we're already moving out. Shin has a supply lead. Solar, can he make these lurkers in time? If Solar can make like 3 lurkers, he can hold. Even down in armor supply. There it is! 5 lurkers in production. We desperately need them. Making as many lurkers as we can. Shin is maxed. And Shin is not pushing. He's missing his opportunity. Up until this moment, Solar was vulnerable. But that vulnerability is closing with the arrival of these lurkers. And again, only a handful of mutas, so we only need a handful of Hydras. But the lurkers, that's the game changer here for Solar. He has 5, soon to be 6 lurkers in position. Roaches do waddle by. A good run by there from Shin. They'll slip into the main. But he cannot push into these lurkers, not like this. We have Burrow on the way, Tunneling Claw as well for Shin. He's working towards the Infestation Pit. Towards Hive Tech, towards Vipers. But again, Solar has a superior army. Shin desperately trying to make this work. He dips in, runs into some Hydras. Oof. Mutas are going to get picked up. Spores are in position. Now, the plus side for Shin is thankfully Solar doesn't have a Hive. Hive just now started. So, Solar doesn't have the best upgrades, doesn't have any Vipers, so he's kind of stuck at home here. Oh, Tunneling Claw Roach is coming in. Solar doesn't see! Oh, he does though. We have a Spore in position! He does react in time at the same time, though Shin pushing right through the center. Lurkers are exposed. These 3 Lurkers are so exposed. Biles should be connecting. We bring 1 down, 2 down, there's only 1 left. And Shin, he breaks through. Solar, he peeled off a little bit too much to defend his main. And the Roach Ravager gets on top of the hatchery, gets on top of the base, gets on top of the Hydras as well. Again, good trades here from Shin. Solar again, just unable to split up his army well enough. And again, he cleans, you can see the picture in picture, he cleans up the army in the main. But does that even matter? SHIN doesn't have enough to break through. He gets only 3 drones. I was expecting more damage. I was expecting SHIN to maybe even get a kill on the base, but he doesn't. Solar, he's surviving. He's holding on. We got more lurkers on the way. Wilds are not going to quite be connecting here. They graze the army, but lurkers, they arrive just in time, forcing this army back. And again, the quality of the army, the quality of the composition for Solar is just outscaling SHIN. Like, lurkers are the end game here of ZvZ. And Roach Ravager is on the timer. As SHIN just being bullied back at this point. Lurkers asserting themselves. No detection, by the way. No overseers for SHIN. And Solar, he is running away with this. He was in a lot of trouble earlier. He was in trouble. But he made it through. And again, we spoke about it. There was a window. There was a window where SHIN could have pushed in before the lurkers are ready. But he did miss that window. Did miss that opportunity. Vipers are arriving, but again, it does feel too little too late. A hatchery goes down. And Solar being so assertive with this. GG gets called. Solar will take it. He'll snowball out of control, winning the series 2-1, advancing on to the playoffs. GG. GG, well played. My condolences to SHIN. My condolences. Did play well here. Did play well in this series. Did force the ace match, but was not enough. Was not enough to make it through. Honestly, SHIN had a really good start to this tournament. If you missed out on it, I recommend checking out the VODs. SHIN versus Bjorn. SHIN versus Bjorn, was it like day 1 or day 2? SHIN looked damn good. He looked so damn good against Bjorn and was able to bring him down. It was a really good start, but it was after that. I think that was the only win for SHIN in this tournament. From there, it's been a rocky road for SHIN. He got 2-0'd by MaxPax, he got 2-0'd by Clem, and here he does take a loss to Solar as well. Despite the good start, wasn't able to keep that momentum going, and SHIN is going to be eliminated here. Congratulations to Solar. And with that, we are done for the night. Oh, we're done for this broadcast. Christmas Cup started 7 minutes ago, so we gotta go, papi. We gotta go. We're gonna be heading on over to the European server. You can see that we are gonna be continuing the 5th round, round 5 of the group stage, in a couple of days. Let me just double check the calendar here, but round 5 of the Masters Coliseum is gonna be on Monday, I believe. Let's have a look here. Yes, it's gonna be on Monday. So the 22nd. The 22nd is going to be when we return with Master Coliseum. But if you want some more StarCraft, we have plenty more StarCraft going on the channel. We have OSC King of the Hill. We have Christmas Cup. We have apparently like a coffee event. There's like a coffee pot cup. Coffee pot cup even, run by Dave Testa. There's more Christmas Cup and KSL. KSL tomorrow. Meanwhile, if you are unsatiated, if you want some more StarCraft, if you enjoyed the cast as well, follow us. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can watch us live on Twitch or on YouTube. We do co-stream or restream both on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, so we're all over the place. VODs are uploaded to YouTube as often as we can, or as quickly as we can as well. So plenty of VOD content on YouTube is available. And thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want, you can stick around. The stream is going to be going offline. Stream is going to be going offline for 2 minutes because I do need to put on a 2-minute delay. And we're going to be back here with the Christmas Cup, with the round of 16. And we are going to be casting Wayne. Little Wayne, if you will. A.k.a. Radita, a.k.a. Vanya. We're going to be going over the group stage, the round of 16 of the Christmas Cup. And we're going to be focusing on Group B. So I very quickly need to rush into that. I need to very quickly get ready for that. So I'm going to be setting up all the overlays. I'm going to be getting some water, going to the bathroom, and we'll be back with Christmas Cup. So we'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Until then, bye. I gotta go. Gotta go get ready.